All right, so diving right in. This deep dive is all about, well, quitting your job and starting a business. And we know, that's something on your mind right now.
Definitely a hot topic. Seems like everyone's dreaming of escaping the 9 to 5 these days.
Right. And the video we're looking at, it's from YouTube, so got to be honest, a little skeptical at first.
YouTube advice can be a mixed bag for sure.
But this one caught our eye. The guy, Charlie, he says he quit his job after, wait for it, 2 months.
2 months. Okay, so color me intrigued. What's the secret sauce?
Well, that's what we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about choosing the right kind of business, especially if you're a beginner.
Makes sense. There are definitely business models that are, shall we say, more beginner-friendly than others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he claims to have a step-by-step plan that anyone can follow.
All right, I'm listening. Let's break it down. Where does he even start?
Well, he starts with a dose of reality. Says a lot of people hate their jobs, right? We've all been there.
The Sunday scaries are a real thing.
Big time. But he doesn't just stop at the complaining. He gets into the financial side of things.
Okay, good. Because passion's great, but bills got to get paid.
Exactly. He uses this example, right? Someone making like $66,000 a year, standard 40-hour week kind of thing.
So fairly average income helps us relate to it, I guess.
Yeah. And he says, before you even think about quitting, you got to figure out your weekly expenses, like to the penny. Rent, food, all that.
Smart. Got to know your baseline before you can even think about replacing that income.
Right. And in his example, it comes out to like $625 a week just to cover the essentials.
So that's what your business needs to be bringing in, minimum, just to keep your head above water.
Exactly. Plus, you got to match that full income eventually, right? That $1,200 a week from the job you're ditching.
So, yeah, this isn't some quit your job and travel the world fantasy. It's about having a solid financial plan, which, honestly, is refreshing.
Totally agree. It's about being realistic, not just getting caught up in the hype.
Which brings us to the types of businesses, right? He has this whole framework.
Yeah, the needle in a haystack, the passive cash flow, and the service-based businesses. It's kind of catchy, actually.
I'll give him that. So which one's the magic bullet?
Well, he actually says right off the bat to avoid the needle in a haystack ones.
Interesting. Those are usually the ones people think of, right? Like the big tech startups. High risk, high reward.
Yeah, but high risk is the key word there. He basically says it's like trying to win the lottery. Lots of effort, very slim chance of actually striking it rich.
And let's be honest, most of us aren't trying to become the next Mark Zuckerberg. We just want to, pay our bills and maybe have some freedom and flexibility.
Totally. And he argues that those needle in a haystack businesses, they can take like years to see any real results. And most people give up way before then.
Yeah, I can see that. If you're trying to replace your income quickly, a business model that might take 5 years to become profitable isn't going to cut it.
Right. You need something with a faster turnaround.
Okay, so if not needle in a haystack, what's he suggesting?
So he contrasts those with the other two, the passive cash flow and the service-based ones. And actually, he uses a graph, which I thought was really helpful.
Oh, a visual learner. I can relate to that.
Totally. So he's got time on one axis, money on the other, right? And the passive cash flow line, it's kind of flat for a while. Then maybe it goes up a little, but it takes a long time.
So things like blogs, YouTube channels, real estate, stuff that generates income, ideally, without you constantly working on it.
Yeah, the dream, right? But he's saying building those up, it's slow. Lots of upfront work before you see any real payoff.
Okay, got it. So what about the service-based businesses? Where do they fit on this graph?
Their line is way steeper. Like right from the start, you're making money because you're trading your time and skills directly for cash.
Ah, so the income's more immediate. Makes sense. Especially if you're trying to quit your job sooner rather than later.
Right. And this is where things get really interesting because that's the type of business he focuses on for the rest of the video, the service-based model.
Okay, so how do we actually do this?
Well, that's where his 7-step plan comes in. But before we get into that, there's this one concept he keeps hammering on: high-value skills, or like HVS.
HVS. Got it. Catchy acronym, but what's it actually mean?
So it's basically like skills that solve problems most people can't solve themselves.
Yeah.
Which means you can charge more for them.
Okay, so not just any old skill. It has to be something people are actually willing to pay for.
Exactly. Like, I'm a pretty good cook, right? But I doubt anyone's going to pay me big bucks to whip up dinner.
Maybe not. But what if you were, I don't know, a gourmet chef who specialized in vegan molecular gastronomy?
Okay, yeah, that's a different story.
Exactly. So it's not just about being good at something. It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills meet a real need in the market.
So it's like Passion plus practicality.
Nailed it. And that's why we're here, right? Taking this YouTube wisdom and figuring out how it applies to your situation.
Totally. It's all about getting real, not just getting inspired.
All right, so service-based businesses seem to be the winner for someone looking to quit their job quickly.
But how do we actually build one?
Well, that's where Charlie's 7 steps come in. And that's what we'll be diving into next.
Ooh, I'm ready. Hit me with those steps.
All right, back to your deep dive. We left off with, remember, Charlie's 7 steps for building that service-based business.
Yeah, the steps. Let's get into it. What's first?
Step 1, it's all about picking the right skill, the one you'll build your whole business around.
Right. We talked about that. High-value skills, those HVS things.
Exactly. So this step, it's a bit of soul searching, and some market research too. Got to figure out, what are you good at? What do you even enjoy doing?
And will people pay for it? That's the big one, right?
Exactly. Got to find those needs out there, the ones you can fulfill with your skills.
He does say, though, you don't have to be like the world's best expert to start. Very good is good enough, he says.
I think that's encouraging, right? Takes the pressure off a bit.
Definitely. Because sometimes it feels like to start a business, you got to be at the top of your game already.
Right, like you need years of experience under your belt. But Charlie's point is you can learn and grow as you go.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So step 2, then, that must be about actually getting good at the skill.
Right, exactly. Honing those skills. And he has this specific tip. It's kind of cool. Learn in the morning, then apply it in the afternoon.
Oh, like read about it, then actually do it.
Yep. He's all about action, not just absorbing information, putting it into practice.
Makes sense. You can read about baking a cake all day, but until you actually try it.
Exactly. Hands-on experience is key.
Okay, step 3, this one threw me off a little. He says, do some free work to get testimonials.
I know, right? Sounds counterintuitive. Work for free. Who wants to do that?
Right. But then I thought about it. Those testimonials, they're like proof that you're good at what you do.
Social proof. It's powerful stuff. People trust recommendations, especially from other customers.
Yeah, like seeing that other people have had good experiences with you, it builds trust, right?
Exactly. So those free projects, they're kind of like an investment. You're building your reputation.
Okay, that makes more sense now. And you can use those projects to build a portfolio too, right?
Oh, absolutely. So even though you're not getting paid up front, you're getting something even more valuable, credibility.
All right, I'm convinced. Free work for the win. What's next?
Step 4, the website. Non-negotiable, he says. Gotta have it.
Makes sense. It's like your online storefront, right?
Exactly. That's where people find you, learn about what you do, see what you've done.
He even recommends this specific platform, Hostinger.
Yeah.
He says he's built like 20 websites out of it himself.
Yeah, so clearly he believes in having that online presence. But I think the bigger point is you don't have to be some tech genius to build a decent website these days.
Yeah, there are tools out there that make it pretty easy. So website's up, then what? How do we actually get clients?
That's step 5. And this one's interesting. He's a big fan of, get this, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace.
Wait, really? I wouldn't have thought of those.
Right. Kind of unexpected, but it's about meeting people where they are, For certain services, especially local stuff, those platforms work really well.
He says he's made like hundreds of thousands of dollars from clients he found that way.
So there you go. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective.
I'm starting to see a theme here. He's all about like keeping it practical, not overcomplicating things.
Exactly. And that fits with what you're looking for, right? Actionable advice, a clear path forward.
Totally. Okay, on to step 6. This is the money part, literally, pricing. He's big on charging from day one.
Right. Even if you're new to the game, you're providing a service, it has value.
And he says, as you get better, as you get more experience, your prices should go up too.
Makes sense. You're more valuable, you can charge more.
He uses his own story as an example, how he started tutoring at a lower rate, then gradually increased it as he got better and built his reputation.
It's a good reminder that your earning potential can actually grow over time. That's pretty motivating.
Yeah, it's not just about finding that initial rate. It's about having a plan for increasing it as you go.
Okay, last step. Step 7. And this one's kind of simple, but powerful. Service beats everything.
I like that. It's about like going above and beyond for your clients, right?
Exactly. He argues that even if you're not the most skilled person in your field, you can still win by providing amazing service.
It's that whole thing like people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Bingo. And good service leads to happy clients, which leads to
Testimonials, referrals, More
Well,
clients.
exactly. It's a snowball effect.
Oh,
Okay, so we just zipped through those 7 steps. What are your initial thoughts?
honestly, I'm kind of impressed. I was a bit skeptical of this YouTube thing at first, but it's actually pretty solid advice.
It is. It's very action-oriented, which I appreciate. But there's got to be some downsides, right? Challenges he hasn't mentioned.
Yeah, like, it all sounds great, but it can't be that easy, right? There's got to be some stuff he's not telling us.
Well, you're right to be a little cautious. No business is easy. But to be fair, he does talk about challenges towards the end of the video.
Oh, he does. What does he say?
He makes it clear this is a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to hit bumps in the road. You got to be persistent.
I remember him saying something like, it's not a sexy business.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be boring parts, tough parts.
Exactly. Times when you're going to doubt yourself, question if it's all worth it.
Yeah. That's the part I'm not looking forward to.
But that's where mindset comes in, right?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
all about focusing on the long game, not getting bogged down by those day-to-day struggles.
It's funny because that really fits with how I learn, how I approach things. Like, I'm all about doing things thoroughly, properly.
Yeah, you strike me as someone who values quality, who wants to build something sustainable.
Exactly. So that whole thing about continuous improvement, building a business for the long haul, that really speaks to me.
And that's what separates this from those, like, get-rich-quick schemes. This is about building something real, something with value.
There was this one thing he said, it kind of stuck with me. Your first business might not be the one that takes off.
Oh, interesting. So it's okay to, like, fail.
Well, not fail exactly, but like fizzle out. He says even if it doesn't work out, you'll learn a ton, and you can apply that to your next venture.
That's actually a really healthy perspective, right? It takes the pressure off.
Totally. Like, you're not expected to hit a home run on your first try.
Exactly. It's about experimenting, learning, and getting better with each attempt.
Okay, there's one thing we haven't talked about much, and I think it's important. The whole legal and financial side of starting a business.
Ooh, yeah. Taxes, licenses, all that fun stuff.
It can seem daunting, but honestly, it's crucial to set things up properly from the beginning, even if you're just a one-person show. So like registering the business, figuring out what licenses I need. It's a lot.
It is. But there's help out there. Talking to a lawyer or an accountant who specializes in small businesses, that's a great first step.
Okay, so get professional help. Got it. Anything else?
There are tons of resources online, too. The Small Business Administration, they've got a lot of good information.
Cool. So basically, do your homework up front.
Exactly. It'll
Okay.
save you headaches down the road, trust me.
All right, so we've covered a lot in this deep dive. I actually feel like I have a way better idea of what it takes to, actually build a business, a service-based one at least.
We've gone through the video, step by step, looked at the pros and cons, and even added some of our own thoughts.
Yeah, this has been super helpful.
But the real question is, what are you going to do with all this?